I'm wearing Oh Baby.
And you are live, Dawn. Welcome to the live, everyone. Welcome to Friday Connect. This is Sherelle with Project Purpose Podcast, and we have the lovely Dawn Smith here with us in studio that apparently is wearing, what is it you're wearing?
Oh Baby Loss. Oh,
Okay. Welcome, Dawn. How are you? I know you're having a little bit of technical difficulty there. I know you have to be using your phone. Hopefully, you can hear us, and I hope that we can hear you as well. How are you doing today?
I'm good, I'm good. I'm giving thanks. It's another Friday. Boy, these Fridays are coming around fast.
They're very fast.
Ah,
And yes, I had a very challenging week.
oh boy.
But nevertheless, we're here. We're here. This is Friday Connect. We do this every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is where we ask the Friday Connect crew to check in. This is where you can unwind. In the post, I did put that you just, grab your coffee, grab your water, grab your notebook, grab your energy and come in the room and share with us. So, as you are scrolling and you see this live, we do invite you to come in and join with us. Today, we want to talk about becoming you again, balancing dreams, marriage, and motherhood without losing yourself. And we are doing this topic. We thought about doing this topic, right, Don, based on the recent news that's been on social media,
Yeah.
regarding the beautiful Aisha Curry, who is the wife of Steph Curry, the amazing professional basketball player. She just did a video interview recently, and before I watched the video, it was streaming, it was trending on social media, about the fact that she was saying that she didn't want kids and she didn't see herself getting married. And she was trending, Dawn, but it was more towards the negative comments. And at first I was like, it is what it is. I'm not even going to watch it. I'm not going to get into the drama of things. But then I thought, I wonder what her side of the story is. So you and I decided to watch the interview
Mhm.
and decided to talk a little bit about it. And when we watched the interview, we were like, oh my God, there was absolutely nothing she said that was wrong. Right. So first we want to just give that disclaimer out there. We're not bashing Aisha Curry. We love her. We admire her and her family. And we think they're doing a great job. And but we want to talk about the subject concerning why people, especially women, would feel that they put their dream off and they're supporting the spouse's dream, and somewhere along the line they lost themselves. What are your thoughts, Don? First of all, tell us what you think about the interview.
So, thank you for having this conversation because I probably would have been like, you know what, let me not get in the drama. I sat and I watched the interview, and my heart was broken for this young lady because everywhere on social media, men and women saying things like she disrespecting her husband, and here she goes disrespecting him again. And they pick three pieces out of her interview and manipulate that. One, I didn't want to have kids. Two, I didn't plan on getting married. Three, I didn't think he would become that. And I'm glad I sat and I watched the entire interview. And you know what, Cheryl, why my heart is broken for her? How many other women who are in her position never get a chance to share their story? She expressed in
Right.
that this is the first she's getting a chance to talk about this because she's Steph Curry's wife. Nobody cares about Aisha. So that identity diminishes altogether. And I think It takes a self actualized person to sit and listen to the interview and hear her. I think people just watched it to respond and not listen to learn. And that's why my heart is broken, because there's so many other women who are living in that very reality. And Sherelle, there's nothing wrong with the things that she said. Steph Curry wanted to be a high school basketball teacher. There's nothing wrong with her saying, well, he wanted to be a high school basketball teacher, so I didn't think he would become what he is now. Did you hear that part when she was trying to breastfeed her baby and a lady opened the car because she wants to see the baby, and oh, this is what you sign up for, so get used to it. No privacy, no, it has to be hard. And so my heart goes out to her, and I really hope that this will not impact her and her husband's relationship negatively. I hope that persons will back off, man. Just back off. So that's what I want to say about that. Okay?
Yeah.
That's what I want to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, well, we're gonna continue and put our spin on the whole topic,
Yeah.
and at the end of it, we are going to have a resolution, right? We are not just um, gabbering and not have a solution to the situation, but we want to
Right.
just welcome everyone that is coming into the chat. I see that we already have Sean. Welcome, Sean. Welcome, Shireen. We thank you guys always so much for your support. And if you guys, I'm not sure if you guys have seen the interview, but if you guys have any um, you know
Input.
views that you can, yeah, input, you can definitely share that with us in the chat here. I'll be monitoring the chat as I also moderate the live. And if there's anyone that is new, that is coming into the chat, as you are coming in, you know again, like I said, we want to talk about marriage, motherhood, and you know finding your dream or living your dream. And oftentimes the reality is that quite a few women, their personal dreams do get blur, right, in between, running the household, managing the household. It appears that you end up managing everyone else but yourself. And so I want to put it out there that, if you can, leave us a comment in the chat if you've ever felt lost a little bit along the way, as you yourself might, be running marriage, motherhood, and trying to find yourself. Now, I'm not a mother, so I'm not, talking from that experience. I am a wife, however, and I do know that, um, for most relationships, people, especially when you started at a later age, you are a little bit more mature. And so you're going in there with a level head, so to speak, and you can discuss your dreams, your career, your values, your aspiration, so that you can grow together. But I think one of the things that stood out to me with that interview, Dawn, was the fact that, she was very young. She had started very young. So she was like, she woke up and, one minute it's me, me, and the next minute it's we, so what would you say maybe to young people, because again too, we do like to start our family young, because I guess people say that they want to grow with the kids, they don't want to be old when the kids are growing up. So you find nowadays that a lot of 19, 20, 21, between the 19 and the 24-year-old getting married. And I feel like there's still a baby, there's still so much for them to learn. And if they had career goals, it gets pushed aside while they focus on taking care of a home.
Well, I think persons just need to, the two party need to talk about the goals clearly. Um, I didn't get from Aisha's interview if they had had a conversation prior to getting married about kids and at what age and such forth. I didn't get that. I was hoping that would come up, but I didn't get it. And so life happens,
Right.
life
Right.
happens. Me, I wanted to have 5 children and stay home. I
You
love
did?
I love knowledge. I love intellect. Don't get me wrong. I love knowledge. I love intellect. But it was never for me to go out and work. That was never my hope. My hope was to be home and to be with my children. Because what I remember, when I get home from school, my mother was there. When I wake up to go to school in the morning, my mother was there. And so that was how I envisioned my life. I was in the church. I just figured I was going to get married and have babies and raise my children and be a part of their lives and then raise my grandchildren. Now that's not my reality. My reality is I got to get up and go get a job, and I didn't get married young. So my first child was born at 28 years old, and then there goes the children. And life did not come with the opportunity of being able to stay home, because in this economy, more than likely, both persons have to be working. So does that mean that because I'm working now and life didn't go the way I originally planned? You know, why isn't something wrong with that? So I'm still kind of piggybacking on Aisha, because different people have different dreams. So me now saying that I wanted to be a wife, I wanted to be a stay-at-home wife. I love knowledge so that I could raise my children and help them become great intellect. I didn't get that. What does that make me? You know what I mean? And so it just have to be communicated. If you're young and you're with somebody, have the communication. um if we're planning to get married, do you want to have children? How many children? When do you want to have them? For the women, we don't speak up enough, because I think when it comes to that, society silence us. It's like a woman is not supposed to have goals and dreams and vision also. And then who dare you want to become anything if you are a mother? It's like your role and your responsibility is to your children. And if you ever dare do something outside of that, or even mention to wanting to do something outside of that, it makes you a bad mother. And it doesn't. And so, to wrap all of this up, for young
Yeah.
people who are in a serious relationship and they're thinking about a future with this person, have the hard conversations. As a matter of fact, I would definitely recommend couples therapy, just to even see if this person that you want to be with is really aligned in the future you. Because a lot of times we choose on us, which is what happened. You choose on who you are now, but not for the future you, right? And that's where a lot of hiccups and divorces come into play, and a lot of problem, because now the future you is living a different life. And how do you deal with that when that happens?
Yeah. And so I think one of the things that we can do to really help this is to uh, teach our young people, not just the ladies, not just our girls, definitely our girls, but even our boys, to understand even before they're ready to leave home what motherhood looks like, what relationship looks like, to give them that, to make them think before
Right.
we get into the relationship, just ponder, right? No, you don't need to make a decision right now, but you need to be able to become aware. So these are the conversations that mothers need to have with their daughters, especially your sons as well, but more so with your daughter, because they do hold the bulk of the work. We know the men do the provisional part of it, but the women, not to mention that their whole body will be changing as they go through childbearing.
Hmm.
And then, of course, you start to nurture your kids. And if you are the individual, which a lot of women do, they like to just have the kids in one season, so to speak, so that they can then eventually heal their body. And a person that comes to mind right now, oh boy, and I think we're losing Dawn.
Yeah, my internet went out. It's raining, so sorry guys, but I'm here, so when it chips in and out,
Okay.
i'm still
Yeah.
i'm still
Well,
here.
what I was going to say was, someone that comes to mind is, she was amazingly doing her career and just really just living life, and it is Rihanna. And then suddenly she decided to have kids. And I really don't know her story, but one can only speculate based on the fact that she's now three children in. And I want to say they're probably like a year apart or so. Um, Appears that that's the strategy route she's going. She's like, let me just get kids out the way. Let me just have my girls and my sons, and then I will take time to, allow them to raise together. And that's another thing that parents do. They try to have the kids close together so that they can, have, that siblings bond and be raised together. And then she can probably start back her career again. So, um, we want to redefine support, right? And we believe that you can support without losing purpose. And what that simply means is that, again, you need to have the conversation. You need to be able to have that confidence within you based on how you're brought up, right? Your values, your assertiveness, to know that even though I meet this individual and all the boxes are checked, I am still bold enough and brave enough to ask these questions and to face the answer, what come what may. But I think, Dawn, if you can still hear me, is a lot of times too we get so caught up in the emotions and we're afraid to ask these serious questions because we don't necessarily want to know
To
the answer,
lose,
right? To
so
lose a
so
person.
Sherelle, that's good, that's really good. Now let me just say that men are also facing this, because I have worked with men who, I did not want a child right now. I
Right.
specifically told her I didn't want a child right now. You know what I mean? So both parties need to have these conversations. Okay.
Mhm.
We many times, because women are more emotional, make permanent decisions upon temporary emotions. And
Right.
the emotions will sometimes cloud your judgment. Okay. This is why foundation is so important. And this is why having conversations with your children is so important, so that when they become adults and they start dating, that foundation is already set. So there is no nervousness or no emotions that is going to cloud the fact that these are serious questions to ask, right? You mentioned Rihanna, but if you have ever watched any of Rihanna's interview, post this, Rihanna has been dying to be a mother. I think she was just waiting for the right person, right? Now she finds her person that aligns with her, and they both wanted children and they both have their children, and they didn't want to stop until they have a girl. Now they have a girl, chances are they're going to stop. Another example is Tommy Chin and Wayne Marshall. Tommy was, I mean, and well, she is an amazing artist, but at the time when she got married and decided that she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, she was bashed for it. She was called names like lazy, whatless, because she's now choosing to give up the career, the music career, and be a wife and a mother.
Hmm.
And she's amazing. So it's on the flip side. It's on the flip side, with Aisha. Um, you'll hear Tammy's story. She just want to have babies. That's it. And she did amazing. Now she's back into corporate world. She's doing TV. She's doing all these things. But her children, like you said, that sibling growing together, her children have each other. They're doing well. Her husband is doing well. And, we just need to have these conversations. I want to point out, Sherelle, that motherhood is not an easy task. Well, marriage is not an easy task, much less marriage, motherhood, and work. As a matter of fact, if anybody should ask me, and this is where people would probably, if you're gonna bash me for this. I don't think any mother should work. It is already so much to get done that there should be things in place that once a woman start having baby, she has the opportunity to stay home and raise her children. And if she wants to volunteer someplace, when the kids are in school now and she wants to work part time or whatever, that should be the thing. But marriage is hard. And then motherhood is very hard. And like you said earlier, the woman is the one that has to bear the bulk of it. Our bodies change. Some women never go back to their size. Then you have to deal with the man complaining that when I met you, you weren't this big. It's a lot. It's a lot. Can you imagine you as a little girl? You have always dreamt of becoming a lawyer. You got married, 24. The first child came by the time you're 25. What you gonna do? More than likely that is going to be diminished. It does not mean that that desire, that God-given desire to have become a lawyer, is going to just disappear because now I'm a mom. It doesn't. But again, have these conversations with the persons that you're with, so that you guys could come to an agreement and said, okay, we're getting married. Give us 2 years together for ourselves. We'll start having children. When the children reach high school, or let's say grade 1, I want to go back to work, or I want to go back to school. Have these conversations so both parties know how to plan for the future.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great tip. And like I said, that can only take place when we were raised right. And so again, here comes the bulk of
Unfortunately,
the
yeah.
work for the home,
Parent.
right? Both the
Mhm.
parent, both the father, his input, right? Continually always being that amazing provider, and the mother being the nurturer, being able to have the relationship with her daughter. And also,
Mhm.
like I said, that you still need to talk to your son as well, so that as they get into that age group where they are ready to now date and eventually leave the nest, they will be very confident in being able, because I think that's actually a problem right now. I know for us growing up, we never really did have that conversation. You were really taught to the basics of housekeeping. Like, you were taught as women to cook, to clean, to keep, body hygiene, personal hygiene, and, the values, right? Respect yourself and things like that. But you never really discuss, when should you have kids? Should you put your career aside? And I love what you just said. When you can compromise together, have a plan in place. We can have
Yeah.
the kids now. They can grow up together. Maybe when they start college, high school or so, if I desire, because again, like you said, some women switch. Some women may have the dream, like the young lady that you mentioned, but then you just realize, you know what? I really just want to be a mom and stay home with my family and be the CEO of this
Of this
home,
home.
of
Yeah.
this family.
Yeah.
And that's quite all right. Aisha Curry is different, right? She's the opposite. She wanted to build a career, and she is still actually actively going after her career. And it just is what it is, right? Especially if you can have the conversation with your spouse, because at the end of the day, it's what matters in their household. So, really good
Right.
point. And I want to say that we can also, support our spouse as well, especially if they're like a high profile spouse, or even if they're not, but you can support them. And it doesn't mean that you yourself have to be silent. So even though you put your career aside, you can also find things, other things that still bring you value. Like if you have other talents or other skills that you would learn um, to master, right? If you learn to become a part of an organization like a women's club, or take
Mm-hmm.
um, part in different events at your children's school, right? You can still have and live a life of purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree?
Yes, yes. Again, Sherelle, the most important is people being emotionally intelligent enough to have these conversations. There are some men, based on their lifestyle and who they are, their wives can't even think about career because your job is going to be supporting him, supporting the home, supporting his visions and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with that if that is communicated up front and two people know what they are getting into. But if you have that conversation, and he said, "Look, I want a wife that doesn't work. You won't need anything, but this is what I need." You can't accept that because it looks glamorous, and then a couple years down the line said, "Well, I want my own career or I want my own identity." You had the conversation and you made an agreement. So it's very, very important that both parties be bold enough to say what they want.
Yeah, yeah, totally agree. And it's just like I cannot move from that, because without that in place, that is where the statistics comes in with the
Breakdown,
breakdown,
yeah.
the breakdown and the divorces, and then the kids get out of hand, and the cycle starts. So communication is so key. Learning emotional intelligence is so key, and it really is from the home, from the nurturing of the
Yeah,
home.
yeah.
So that's pretty much how we had wanted to just visit that this topic, to just let women know, unfortunately, right, if you're already in the relationship and you never did have this conversation, I don't know what to say, right?
Well,
We
I
hope
know
that
what to
you're
say.
listening. Yeah, what is it? What would you say to them, Dawn? What would you say to those?
Right. Just like we're talking, you wait until you guys are in a nice space. You're calm, you're in a nice space together with each other, honey. I love you. I love being your wife. I've always, no, but don't use the word but, just, and I've always wanted to pursue my career in dancing, whatever you know now the kids they could take care of themselves, and I still strongly have that desire. What do you think? you know um and hear what that person have to say. If that's a husband that genuinely loves you like Christ loves the church and will lay down his life for her, that's a person that's going to say, what do I need to do to help you achieve that?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And then you have the conversations. Okay, there's three children, there's three different drop off, there's three different pick up, there's three different activities. Let's say the husband is extremely busy and can't do pickups, and you want to now go back to school. Then you can say, all right, honey, your days are tied up. How about I do the drop off? I will take courses in the day while the kids are at school, and then I will be done in time to pick them up and we go home together. It's find the compromise, because first of all, you get more of a person when that person is fulfilled. So if
Mhm.
I'm stressed out, um, guess what's going to happen? Even the cats and the dogs getting beaten. Everybody's going to be beaten. You know what I mean? Because you're stressed out. But when I am whole, when I'm at a place of authenticity, and I get up and I get to walk in purpose, Sherelle, it's going to make me show up better to everybody around me. So that person is going to end up getting a better wife because now she's doing something that is more fulfilling for her. And when people are happy, they feel joy. Guess what happened? They're more productive. The home is happier. It's more peaceful, right? So if you're in a marriage already and you wanted to do something, a career that you didn't get to, and you have children now, and it's not too late to have that conversation. Likewise for men. Some men also postpone their dreams and visions to go work because you have a child now, you need to work, you need to take care of this child. So we can't ignore the fact that there are men who actually gave up on their own dreams to ensure that their children go through college.
Mm-hmm.
So it's never too late to have the conversation.
Yeah. And I think too, as you mentioned earlier, life changes and things change. So, also to make sure as you're having the conversation that you truly still have that dream,
Right,
because you might have had that dream at, 20, 24, but now, you're like, 10 years in, 15 years in, and your dreams might have pivot your whole life, and you're now interested in something else,
right.
that maybe you guys, maybe the couple could actually start doing together, like volunteering for certain organizations or traveling,
Mm-hmm.
learning new hobbies together. There's a lot of
Salsa dancing.
correct. People love things and do things together. So as opposed to just to I think it comes down to knowing who you are, understanding your self-worth, and find out what brings you joy, what brings you value as an individual, right? You're a couple together, you're a family together, but then there's also the individual. And get to know what truly brings you joy, and tap into that, and like
Can
you
I
said,
add
and how
something to
to.
that, Sherelle?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we have a misconception about marriage that the two becoming one means that you no longer have an identity.
Right.
And I need to clear that up. You're two separate individuals. You like different things. I can't expect my spouse to love Beres Hammond because I love Beres Hammond. That's not what the two become one means. You know what I mean? Not because you may like theme parks means that now that I'm married to you, I need to like theme parks. No. So this is where a lot of women lost their identity because sometimes there are some unrealistic expectations that say, well, we're one, we're supposed to be one. So, you're supposed to come to the theme park and enjoy the slide just as much as I do. And that's not fair for anybody. That's not fair. And you show up better for the person when you know who you are as an
Yeah.
individual and when you're given the opportunity to exist as an individual,
Yeah.
not taken away from the marriage itself. We like traveling, us sisters, we like traveling. There are some places that the men don't want to go. Who wants to go shopping in Paris? Like, that's why I have my sisters. So that's not something that I might do with my husband because that might not be something that he's interested in. That should be okay. Likewise, if he wants to go to a concert that I'm not interested in the artist and he wants to go with his friends, that should be okay. So the two becoming one doesn't mean that I have to know, enjoy everything that you enjoy and you need to enjoy everything that I enjoy. No, we come together as one, maintaining our individual identity. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, the biggest takeaway here is communication. And that's what Shireen says in the chat. Communication is key. And that is so true because even what you just mentioned, as long as we're open and is communicating,
Yeah.
because you also don't want to have too many things that are opposite to what your spouse like. Otherwise, after a while, there'll be a
You're not
drift
doing
where you're
anything
doing
together.
correct. He's doing his thing and you're doing your thing. So we also need to be finding that balance, I guess, is what it is, and being able to
Mhm.
compromise where you might say, "Oh, I've never heard of that artist. Let me start listening. Let me see." It may very well not be your cup of tea, but then you might also say, "Oh, you know what? It's not too bad. Let me listen. Let me see and let me start getting to it." Like,
Or let me support. Or let me support.
yeah,
But the point I'm making is I've had situations with couples where somebody feel like, oh, but we're one, so we're supposed to do everything together, and she's supposed to like it. And I'm thinking, she's a person. Likewise, I'm not going to agree with everything you said. You're not going to agree with everything that I said. But as a couple, we talk it through and understand that as individuals, we may have different opinions. The opinions
right.
doesn't need to break us.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. So again, guys, if you are just joining us, or if you are scrolling on another day and you happen to see this live, we ask that you share it with friends and families, so that we can all learn and grow together. Today, we are talking about balancing dreams, marriage, and motherhood without losing yourself, right? And it's really geared towards the woman, but we are also putting the men into it as well, because we do know, as Dawn mentioned, that we are all individuals and we all have our own dreams, our own aspirations. And so we do not want to get lost forever while we're building a family, right? We want to find that balance, and we can support and we want to support each other, but we can
Right.
support without losing ourselves. So communication is key. And you definitely want to open that up. If you feel like you're in a relationship that the communication is broken down and you're not able to really get your point across, you might want to start looking into counseling, right?
Mhm.
Professional counseling. You might want to maybe start with a confidant first, but eventually you might want to look into professional counseling, because at the end of the day, you are spending literally almost the rest of your life with this person. So you want to make sure that it is a happy home and a peaceful home. And, you don't want to just be giving. And we know, oh my God, there's so many women out there that just give. They just give. And sometimes they even give above what the man really asks. Um, it's our nature to just nurture and take care of others. And maybe this is going to be another live for with another topic, but we also need to make sure that we are exercising self-love, right? As Don says, when you become whole and when you become better and better each day, then you're able to give the best version of yourself to the next person and show up better for your family and for yourself. So that's the topic that we wanted to talk about, Dawn. Pretty much we just want to remember, ask them to remember who they are, or to remind them to remember who they are, right? You play many roles, and remember who you were before the world told you who you had to be. And you can go back in time and see if that person still wants to pursue that career, or if you just want to pivot into something else. But make sure that you are fulfilled. Make sure that you are fulfilled. What else would you add to that, Dawn, before we leave?
I
Thank you so
do.
much
Well, I
for
do
joining
want
us.
to point out that unfortunately, many divorces happen when the children go to college, when they go off to college, because now you're going through this emptiness period. And you don't have the children to occupy your time, and you may not have a career to occupy your time, and you realize that you're in the house with a stranger. And so again, this is why it's important that communication is taking place, because a lot of women stay for the sake of the children, for the sake of the children, for the sake of the children. But then those children grow up and everybody's gone to college and the house is empty. That's the emptiness period. What do you do then? And it's not an easy road, but if two people desire each other, even with the communication, we have to understand that you need to communicate respectfully. So if the woman come and say, I really would like to pursue XYZ, somebody that loves that person is not going to start criticizing, is not going to start tell them, oh, at this age you can't do that again, that doesn't make any sense. No, it's out of love. You want to support, you know what your spouse is saying. But, well, not but, it actually really do take two people to want it. So it can't be that one person is willing to talk, but the other person is willing to disrespect. I've had men that said, boy, I can't even get to talk to her without her tearing me down and telling me why this is not going to work, or, stuff like that. We're not going to have happy homes that way. So communicate respectfully, right? And out of love. I was sharing this on another radio station that the purpose of relationships is to maximize experiences. There's some there's something just better experience with somebody that you love, right? And love can be had, but two people have to understand what does love looks like. Love is gentle and kind. It doesn't envy, it doesn't boast. So when we are communicating, let us remember why we got into this relationship. What is it about this person that I'd actually really love? Because sometimes we only see what is right in front of us right now, and then everything else goes through the window. So in communicating, remember to show love and to show respect to the other person.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, girl. The relationship, man, it's been, since history, that has been a struggle. Some win at it and some don't. And even here in the 21st century, we're still trying to figure it out. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we thank you for sharing, Dawn. That's it's amazing. Um, like I said, we just wanted to talk about this topic because people are coming down on this lady, Aisha Curry, and I believe she said nothing wrong. And funny enough, they're still young. She's still young. They're working it out, and there's so many other people that are in her situation who had dreams and aspiration before children. And we all know that children do take up pretty much a lot of your time, right? 18 years legally, and sometimes they're still around for another 4 or 5 years if they're going off to college. So it's a very long period. And you're absolutely right. Our wish is that for the husband and the wife to actually be friends because
Yeah.
you're on the same team, and so that when the kids leave, and they will, that you both can still have each other and
And be
enjoy
happy
each
that the
other.
kids are gone. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Like happy, and now you have your home back together for the two of you. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, certainly. So that's the information. We thank you for joining us. Remember that we meet here every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we just talk about pretty much everything, predominantly about money and entrepreneurship. And we're going to get back into, entrepreneurship, managing our money. Super excited about learning and understanding the stock market, finally learning skills to build asset, right? Instead of just having liabilities. So we have all of those topics to share with you in the future. We hope that you will join us. And we also hope that you will share the live with a friend or two so that we can always continue to learn and grow together. I know you guys cannot see Dawn anymore. She is not in space. She is still right there. She's just having bad internet connection. If someone is joining us and is wondering what's going on, but Dawn Smith, and I'm going to leave her website in the chat here. She is a professional counselor. So, should someone be listening to this and, either individually or as a couple, you need to get professional counseling, Dawn is available online. It's a safe space. Your information is secured. So, you can definitely reach out to her. I will link her information in the chat. Um, as you can see here on the screen, it says Project Purpose Podcast. That is a podcast that I host, and Dawn is constantly on that podcast as well. We love having her. So I hope that you will subscribe to the podcast and follow the podcast wherever you get your podcast, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Apple. I said Apple already. Wherever you watch your podcast, search for us. Oh my God, Don, I didn't realize there was so much purpose podcast out there. I think it's called Purpose Project. Ours
Uh,
is called Project Purpose, but there's so many Purpose Project podcasts out there. And funny enough, I did research the thing, and I don't know where these sites are popping
well,
up from,
listen,
but
I started Soulful Serenity and had the logo and had all of that. And then
yeah,
all of a sudden, like they're just, some monkey see, monkey do, So, hey.
yeah. So it's crazy, man. But hey, what can we do? I never did copyright the name. So Project Purpose Podcast, you have to type all of it into your search bar for it to pop up. Otherwise, you're going to see all type of purposeful living, purpose project. But we appreciate the support, and we thank you so much, Dawn, for your time and for your energy that you always bring. Any final word before we get out of here, Dawn, that you have to share?
Just want to encourage persons, especially those who are watching and the community. If you're a woman and you're trying to balance your dreams and your marriage and motherhood, it really, really, it is possible. It's just have the hard conversations and create a community to help you, because you won't be able to do it all by yourself. So it's very, very important that you have that community. Look for little ways and means. For me, one of my biggest thing when my children were younger was having a slow cook. That saved me. You put dinner on in the morning when you're leaving the house. When you come home, my kids would still get a hot, healthy meal. It's the little things, that you put in place. Something else that I did is carpool with other parents. If there's a parent that I know that their kid is doing the same activities as my children, then we kind of flip flop, who pick up, and so find those communities to help you, because you actually can have it all. You can be a great mom, you can be a great wife, and you can have an amazing career.
Yes. Everything that Dawn says, I agree more. So we love you, mothers, women, grandmas, aunties,
Yeah.
sisters, daughters. We love you. You're doing a lot, and we love you, and we're here for you. We're a community of one, and so continue to take care of yourself. Thank you, guys, for everyone that joined us in the chat. Shireen says we should not let the grandkids in, and that's so true, because yes, when the kids leave the house, then here comes the grandkids, but we're going to shut them out. That's going to be a topic for another day, but that's the information that we have to share with you today. Again, don't forget to also follow my page, guys. Um, I talk a lot about money, right? About just personal finance and tips and insights, and resources I provide in how to grow your money so that we can all get this moolah together. So follow my page, subscribe to the podcast. When I put Dawn's information in there, make sure if you do need her to reach out to her, but also follow Dawn's page. She's at Dawn Marie Smith. I'll put it in the chat, because we're always sharing nuggets for you, so that we
Yes.
can all grow and become better and better. So until next time, until next Friday, join us. Bye for now. Bye, Dawn. Take care,
Bye.
guys. Bye, guys.